I got something to show you. This is my World War One flight helmet. It was bought for me by a friend, or my wife's best friend, in fact. And I'm going to put it on for you. How dashing am I? What do you think? Yeah, ear flaps. Look at that, so you can hear where you're going. Yeah, does up under the chin. I normally wear it when it's raining on a trike because it's handy. I can tuck it into a pocket. And of course, on a trike, you don't have to wear a proper helmet, so this comes in handy for that. So on to the reason for this video. That might give you a bit of a clue. I've recently joined a poetry reading group on Facebook, mainly because I was nosy and I like poetry. Not necessarily to read poetry out, but I do like to read poetry. I like the way words work together. And being dyslexic, it fascinates me. So if this works tonight, eventually, because this is about my 10th or 11th take trying to get this out, but I digress. Anyway, so yeah, I'm on this poetry group and I'm looking through the poems, and one of them really jumped out at me, really spoke to me, and it spoke to me for three reasons. The first reason being that up until recently I learnt that trike riders like myself don't actually ride trikes, we pilot them. So I'm a pilot. Go figure. So yeah, that's one reason why this poem jumped out at me. Yeah. Drivers drive, bikers ride, trikers pilot. Who knew? So yeah. The second reason it jumped out at me is I have built in the past my own vehicles. And anyone who's an engineer or a mechanic or an electrician has blamed these critters for problems they can't find for as far back as I can remember. And it wasn't up until I spotted this poem or song that I found out where the actual term come from. And the third reason that this particular poem jumped out at me was my grandmother's sister, my great aunt Jackie. She was a pilot, peacetime and wartime pilot, and she was a test pilot, and she used to test pilot Spitfires and Hurricanes and a host of other planes, but mostly her main gig was the Flying Fortresses, the big bombers, and she used to not only test pilot them, but she used to deliver them to air bases up and down the country. And as I said before, that was during both peacetime and wartime. And this is another reason that this particular poem leapt out at me. So now I'm not sure at the moment whether we've got permission to do this particular poem, whether I'm allowed to do this video at all. So I'm hoping that you actually get to see this and I don't muck it up, to be quite honest. But I'll name the source materials where I got this from, or where it was got from, and the source materials were borrowed from the online etymology dictionary, and it was also parts were borrowed from, or parts of the history of it was borrowed from, the World Histories and Mysteries from Abracadabra to Zeus, and finally, and this should give it away because it's in the title, the Gremlins Reform. There, I said it, and that's an RAF fable. And I'm going to be reading it to you tonight, and I'm Mad Jeffers. Friends call me Mad or Mad. You can call me Jeff or Jeffers. As long as you don't call me late for lunch, I don't mind what you call me, to be quite honest. And on to a bit of the history. Now, originally, the MRO Annoyance, Gremlins, and its origins, and the origins of the term gremlin came from airmen during World War II. And they claimed that these creatures were responsible for sabotaging aircraft. Some claim gremlin derives from the Old English word germian or germian, meaning to vex. And if you've ever built your own vehicle and the gremlins get in there, they do vex. The term originates originally from the Royal Air Force, and it's Royal Air Force slang from the 1920s, and among pilots stationed in Malta, the Middle East and in India. The first references to gremlins in print came from over the border in Scotland, from our Scottish brothers and sisters. In fact, Scotland was gremlin country, or known as gremlin country. In an early reference to gremlins in a young lady called Pauline Gower's The ATA Women with Wings from 1938, where the mystical creatures are accused of cutting the wires of biplanes, which I can imagine would be quite scary. It was popularised in World War II by the airmen of the UK's RAF, and gremlins were blamed by flight crews for unexplained complications that occurred during flights. These critters were considered equal opportunity critters and tricksters and pains in the proverbial, and they'd cause complications of aircraft on both sides of the war. And they were used as a scapegoat when technology failed. And as the folklorist John Hazen said, the gremlin has been looked on as a new phenomenon, a product of the machine age, the age of air. So I hope that gives you some insight. The poem itself was a song, and it was sung by the RAF Photographic Reconnaissance Unit during the Second World War. And I'm going to attempt to do it justice. I'm not going to sing it, because I can murder a good tune, me, and I mean murder. So yeah, in honour of my great aunt Jackie. When you're 7 miles up in the heavens, and that's a heck of a lonely spot, and it's 50 degrees below zero, which isn't exactly hot. When you're frozen blue like your Spitfire, and you're scared of mosquito pink. When you're thousands of miles from nowhere, and there's nothing below you but the drink. It's then you will see the gremlins, green and gamboge and gold, male and female and neuter, gremlins both young and old. White ones will wiggle your wingtips, male ones will muddle your maps, green ones will guzzle your glycol, females will flutter your flaps, pink ones will perch on your perspex and dance pirouettes on your prop. There's one spherical, middle-aged gremlin who spins on your stick like a top. They'll freeze up your camera shutters. They'll bite through your aileron wires. They'll cause your whole tail to flutter. They'll insert toasting forks in your tyres. This is the song of the gremlins, as sung by the PRU. Pretty ruddy unlikely to many, but fact nonetheless for the few. Thank you for indulging me that. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed reading it. Take care of yourselves. Good night.